Hello and welcome to Right Sports Talk. My name is Zach with NFL training camps kicking off. I just wanted to go through each team and talk about some players or some positions to watch as we get into training camp and through the preseason. I'm going to start off with the AFC today, and then in a later video, I'm going to talk about the NFC. Kick it off with the AFC North. Off with for the Baltimore Ravens. The position that I think position that I'm looking forward to watching is the tight ends for the Ravens. Obviously, they have Mark Andrews, who's been the veteran there for, I think it's 2018. He's been there for, a while. He has been a top tight end up until really last year, especially early in the season. He started off slow. I know he was coming off an ankle injury he suffered in 2023. And then, got kind of worked more in the offense. And obviously in the playoffs had a chance to help them win the game in the divisional round and drop the 2-point conversion at the end of the game. That was a big difference maker in them losing. So I'm looking forward to seeing how he is this season going into camp. For he's another year older. Does he show his age more? And then behind him is a very young, very good, very talented tight end in Isaiah Likely, who last season at the beginning of the year was having some very good games. He was being worked in the offense a lot when Mark Andrews was kind of still working his way back and still trying to get back into form. So I'm looking forward to seeing what Isaiah Likely can do in training camp and seeing if he can really do something to stick out as the tight end one in this offense going into the season. Moving on to the Steelers. My player to watch is running back Jaylen Warren. This is really his backfield competition to lose right now. There's no more Najee Harris. He went to the Chargers in free agency. They did draft Caleb Williams out of Iowa in the 3rd round, but Jaylen Warren has been there for 3 years. This is his real first opportunity to show what he can do as the every down back, as he had been splitting time with Najee Harris his first 3 seasons there. He is a very talented running back. He's somebody that was primarily used in third down passing situations. But when he was given opportunities to get more touches in games, he showed a lot of talent. So I'm excited to see if he can establish himself as the true number 1 running back in this offense. Moving on to the Cincinnati Bengals. For me, it's 2 players. It's defensive ends Trey Hendrickson and rookie defensive end Shamir Stewart. Trey Hendrickson so both these players are holding out. Trey Hendrickson is coming off of, I believe, leading or tying for the league lead in sacks last season, was in the running for Defensive Player of the Year on a not very good defense, and he's going into the last year of his contract, and he would like an extension. The Bengals don't want to give him an extension, so he's holding out. So I'm interested to see how long that progresses, or if he decides to just come back and play. So I'm interested to see how that works out. And then Shamar Stewart is in a situation where he's also holding out due to some language in his rookie contract. He was their first-round draft pick from this past season to help out their defense. And he's not there. He sat out minicamp. He's doesn't want to report to training camp. And there's nothing the Bengals can really do right now because he hasn't signed his contract. And really the main thing that he wants changed is he wants a fully guaranteed rookie contract, which is kind of normal for first-round draft picks. But the Bengals have some wording in his contract that could void it if he were to suffer an injury or have some off-the-field issues. And that's something that he wants. He wants the contract fully guaranteed. He doesn't want to show up or sign a contract until it's fully guaranteed. So these players are ones that I'm more so looking forward to, more so watching what they do off the field as opposed to on the field in training camp, to kind of see how their contract negotiations go. And for the Cleveland Browns, it's their quarterbacks. They've got 4 quarterbacks on their roster right now. They've got Joe Flacco, who's the veteran, who's been in the league since 2008. He's been in Cleveland before. He's back. He was there in 2023 and helped lead them to a playoff berth. They've got Kenny Pickett, who's been in the league since 2021, but hasn't really been an established starter anywhere. He's supposed to be, the next great Steelers quarterback, and couldn't hold a job over Mitchell Trubisky and Mason Rudolph. And then they have two rookie quarterbacks, Dylan Gabriel, who they drafted in the third round, and Sanders, who they drafted in the fifth round. Shedeur Sanders, who they drafted in the fifth round. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this quarterback battle kind of works out in training camp. As of now, it looks like there's kind of two battles going on between the two veterans to see who's going to get to be the week one starter, and then between the two rookies to see who's going to be really that rookie backup, that guy that's the rookie that's behind whoever the veteran starter is. So I'm intrigued to see how this goes, because Joe Flacco is, a little bit older. He's around 40 years old. Kenny Pickett is younger, but he hasn't been able to stick around as a starter anywhere for a full season. And then you have Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders, who are both very talented quarterbacks, but we don't know what they can do at an NFL level. So I'm excited to see how this quarterback competition really plays out throughout training camp and throughout the preseason. Moving on to the AFC East, starting off with the Buffalo Bills, it's second-year wide receiver Keon Coleman. Keon Coleman was a first-round draft pick for the Bills in 2024. He's somebody that he showed some pretty good flashes as a rookie. Had some good games. It was very inconsistent. Just needing to see that he can be consistent, and he can kind of be that big play receiver that they drafted him to be. Because he has, other than Khalil Shakir, there's no real competition to be that true number one receiving option for Josh Allen, and he's a much bigger play threat than Khalil Shakir is. Though Khalil Shakir is a very good slot receiver, guy's going to get a lot of catches, but he doesn't get a whole lot of yards and touchdowns. Keon Coleman can be that touchdown guy, that big body guy that can bring big plays. So I wanted to see him kind of show that he has made the jump from year one to year two, and he's ready to be that guy. Moving on to the Miami Dolphins, the kind of position that I'm looking forward to seeing the most is who's going to be their backup running back. So obviously Devon Achane is solidified as their number one guy, but Raheem Mostert left. So they've got really three options that I think could step up and be that guy behind Devon Achane. They've got second-year running back Jalen Wright, who was on the team last year, and he's, a really talented. Physical-wise, he's really talented. He's about 215 pounds, runs a 4.4 40, so he's big, fast guy, should fit in this offense like a glove. But in the limited playing time that he got last season, he didn't really look all that great. In the regular season, he didn't really appear to have great vision. And yeah, he can bust a big run, but he wasn't really getting past that first level to be able to break away. They also brought in veteran running back Alexander Madison, who is he's the definition of an average running back. He's somebody that he's a good running back, can do a lot of things good, but doesn't really stand out anywhere. But he's somebody that, if he just plays like he does and he's consistent and he's average, can very easily be the number two running back, especially if Jalen Wright hasn't shown that he's taken that leap going into his second season, and that Jalen Wright hasn't shown that he's ready to be the number two guy in this running game. And they also have rookie running back Ollie Gordon, who they picked late in the draft this year. And Ollie Gordon is a very talented running back. He's a big body guy. He is somebody that 2 years ago in college football was the best running back in college football. Looked like, if he had one more really good year, he was going to looked like he could have been the best running back coming into this class until the season happened and he kind of fell off. But he is somebody with a tremendous amount of talent. So I really look forward to see what these guys can do, and if any of them can really stand out as the guy that can be the number two and have potential to fill in if Devon Achane were to go down, or somebody that could get some more touches instead of Devon Achane getting all the touches throughout the season. Moving on to the Jets, it's quarterback Justin Fields. Aaron Rodgers, obviously no longer there. Justin Fields came in free agency. He's somebody that he played well in the 6 games he started for the Steelers last year. So I'm just looking forward to seeing how he looks in this offense. Him and Garrett Wilson have a little bit of a connection from their limited time at Ohio State together. See really how he looks. If he's somebody that looks like he can be the quarterback for more than just this season, if somebody that can, command the offense, and somebody that, goes out and shows that he should be the long-term starter for this team. Moving on to the New England Patriots. For me, it's wide receiver is their position to watch. Specifically, 3 young guys, a rookie undrafted free agent rookie, Efton Chisholm, who's a guy that is Josh McDaniels' ideal slot receiver. He's about 5'10", 190-ish pounds, shifty, played very stuck out a lot in minicamp, making a lot of big plays. He's somebody that could try to really make the roster in what he can do in the receiving game or as a special teams guy. Also, I'm looking forward to seeing what second-year receivers Jalen Polk and Javon Baker can do. Jalen Polk, second-round draft pick last year for New England, didn't have a great rookie season, wasn't up to the expectations that people really thought he could play up to. And then Javon Baker was a 4th-round pick last season who didn't get a single catch. He barely had any playing time. And these 3 guys are in a very crowded wide receiver room, which right now they've got, I think, 3, possibly 4 guys that are guaranteed to make the roster. So I think obviously Mario Douglas makes the roster. Stephon Diggs makes the roster, but could start the season on the PUP list, physically unable to perform list, which could open up a spot for one of these 3 guys, at least at the beginning of the season. They got rookie Kyle Williams, who they drafted in the 3rd round this year. They also brought in Mac Hollins in free agency, who I don't know if he's a lock to make the team, but he's pretty much up there as an almost guarantee for me to make the teams because of the type of contract they gave him. They gave him a 2-year deal. So I would imagine they would leave him here for at least 1 year. And then they've also got Kendrick Bourne, who's been here for a few years, and Kayshon Boutte, who's going into his 3rd year, who he really had a little bit of a breakout in the back half of the year with Drake May as his quarterback. So it's a very crowded wide receiver room. So I do look forward to seeing what these 3 young guys can do to really stick out and try to fight for a roster spot. Now, moving on to the AFC South, starting with the Houston Texans. I'm excited to see their wide receivers other than Nico Collins. So who's going to be beside Nico Collins? They lost 2 receivers from last season. Stephon Diggs, who tore his ACL partway through the season and is now in New England. And then Tank Dell, who's going to be out this entire season with a knee injury that he suffered late in the season last year. So this offseason, they brought in Christian Kirk, a veteran guy who could kind of be their slot guy, but maybe be the number 2 guy. They also drafted 2 rookies, and Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel, both out of Iowa State. Jaden Higgins is more so the outside guy, the guy that I could see them being the number 2 option beside Nico Collins when they have 2 receiver sets. Jalen Noel, more so a slot guy that could possibly compete with Christian Kirk to see who's going to be their starting slot receiver. And they also have a very talented receiver that's been there for a couple of years in John Mechie, who when they're Nico Collins, Stephon Diggs, and Tank Dell were Nico Collins and Stephon Diggs were injured, and Tank Dell was kind of struggling in the offense. John Mechie had a few good games, and he is a very talented receiver. So see, can he kind of stand out as the next guy in this offense? Moving on to the Indianapolis Colts. I'm intrigued to see their quarterback battle between Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones. Anthony Richardson was not able to participate in minicamp because he's suffering a shoulder injury that he's dealt with before. He should be ready to go by camp, and this is, I believe, it's a true quarterback battle in which whoever's the best will be the starter to at least at the beginning of the season for this team. I'm excited to see who can win out between Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones and be establish themselves as the guy at quarterback for this team. Moving on to the Jacksonville Jaguars, it's wide receiver / cornerback Travis Hunter. It's somebody that they traded up for in the draft. They traded from 5 to 2 to go get him. He's somebody that it looks like, yes, they are going to let him play both wide receiver and corner. I'm just excited and intrigued to see how they use him in both those positions and how they will really really go about it, what kind of scheme or kind of formations they will use him in. Will he be more of a receiver than he is a corner at times? I'm just excited to see how they use this player that can, play both sides of the football, because you haven't really had this in the NFL for somebody that wants to play full-time both sides of the ball. Moving on to the Tennessee Titans, it's their quarterback Cam Ward, who's the number 1 overall draft pick. He hasn't really been talked about a lot. He's kind of been overlooked by a lot of the other rookie quarterbacks. But I think Cam Ward has a shot to come in and be the starter for this team from day one. He only has to be better than Will Levis, and Will Levis is one of the big reasons they had the number 1 overall pick, because he did not play well last season. So I'm excited to see what he can do. He is a very talented quarterback. I'm excited to see what he can do in this offense, if he can help elevate anybody, whether he can help elevate Calvin Ridley. He can bring this offense to another level than it was last season. I'm just excited to see how Cam Ward can really handle himself and how he plays on this team that doesn't have a whole lot of talent around him. Moving on to the AFC West, starting off with the Kansas City Chiefs. For me, the position I most look forward to seeing in training camp is their running back position. Obviously, they have Isaiah Pacheco, who should hopefully be fully healthy. Now he's had all offseason to help get healthier from he had a leg injury he suffered last season. It was a broken fibula that he suffered in the 3rd game of the season that kept him out for 9 games last year. He did come back towards the end of the year, but he did not look nearly as explosive. He didn't run as aggressively. He just didn't look the same, which is kind of understandable when you have a broken leg and part of your job is to run the ball. They've also still got Kareem Hunt, who they brought in after Isaiah Pacheco suffered his injury, but Kareem Hunt is, a little bit of an older running back, but he played well last season without being at the Chiefs, without being on a team for an off-season program. Excited to see what he can do in an off-season program, see what kind of shape he's in coming into training camp, and if, he can be the guy that gets more of the touches than Isaiah Pacheco. They also brought in Elijah Mitchell from the 49ers, who is a very talented running back who, when he got chances to play in San Francisco, he looked very good. So he's somebody that could kind of stand out and claim that starting running back role. And they also drafted, late in the draft, running back Brashard Smith, who is new to the running back position. He's only played it for a couple of years. He's a receiver leading up to him being a running back. So he's somebody that I don't know if he's necessarily going to be able to get the role as the every down back, but he's definitely somebody that could come in and compete for that 3rd down back role right away, be that change of pace back, be that guy that's just going to be kind of a gadget guy for this team. And, if he finds a way to get on the field, maybe that's pushing somebody like Kareem Hunt, who could also be a good pass catcher for them, keeping him on the sidelines. I'm excited to see how this running back room looks as camp goes along. Moving on to the Los Angeles Chargers. For me, the player to watch is wide receiver Quentin Johnston. So Quentin Johnston, I think, is in a very good position to be the number 2 wide receiver for this team beside Ladd McConkey, because in free agency they brought in wide receiver Mike Williams, but he's starting the season off on the PUP list, and they drafted a rookie running back in the second round, Trey Harris, but he is holding out right now, not wanting to sign his rookie contract because he would like more guaranteed money. So Quentin Johnston doesn't really have any competition right now to he doesn't have any competition for that number 2 wide receiver role. But he needs to go out and show that he can be a consistent receiver, which he hasn't been able to be his first 2 years in the league. He had a pretty decent year last year with a little over 700 yards and 8 receiving touchdowns, but he dropped the ball a lot. And a lot of it is concentration stuff, that the ball is thrown right to him, and he will just not watch it into his hands. It'll get almost to his hands, he'll look away, he'll drop the ball. And it's the same thing he did as a rookie. He got a little better last year, but still a lot of drops. So he needs to be able to show that he can hang on to the football and he can catch the ball on a consistent basis if he wants to be able to stay the number 2 option in this receiving core. Or maybe the Chargers will go out and find somebody new, or when Trey Harris hopefully does come back soon or does report to camp soon, if Quentin Johnston is struggling, Trey Harris has a great opportunity to seize that number 2 receiver role. Moving on to the Denver Broncos, their position for me to watch is running backs. They lost Javonte Williams in free agency. They still got Jaleel McLaughlin, who's been there going into his 3rd season year. They got Audric Estime going into his 2nd year there, who both of them played pretty well when given opportunities, but haven't been great. They also drafted rookie running back R.J. Harvey in the 2nd round, and they brought in J.K. Dobbins in free agency even after the draft. So before they signed J.K. Dobbins, I think R.J. Harvey was really the lock to be the number 1 running back to start the season. But with J.K. Dobbins coming in, he's a very talented running back. He's surprisingly young. He's only like 27 or 28 years old. And it feels like he's been in the league for a long time. But he's a very experienced veteran. He played very well to start the season last year for the Chargers, but he suffered an injury that kept him out for, I think, 4 games, and then he didn't really look the same after that. So I'm excited to see who from this running back room can really establish themselves and really stand out as the number 1 running back. And moving on to the Las Vegas Raiders, the player to watch for me is running back Ashton Jeanty. Their rookie running back they drafted with the top 10 draft pick. They used a premium draft pick on Ashton Jeanty because he looked like this season the best running back in all of college football, and he looks like he's ready to be he could be the workhorse running back for this Raiders offense, which really struggled at running back last season after Josh Jacobs left in free agency to Green Bay. So they did have Zamir White and Alexander Madison, who neither one of them really stuck out and were really all that great or all that explosive to really bring this offense to the next level. I think Ashton Jeanty, if he's everything that he's projected to be, could be the workhorse running back and really elevate this offense going into this season. So I'm really excited to see what Ashton Jeanty can do in training camp against NFL defenses. So those are just some players and positions that I'm looking forward to seeing and watching throughout training camp. Let me know if there's any players that you think of or positions from AFC teams that you can think of that you're excited to see. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Until next time, see you.